You got it locked into New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
That's right, you do, Guy. Thank you very much. Welcome to HTLA Radio 1, New York. And, of course, this week, actually, this pre-Christmas week, Film 101. And we've got a good show for you today, especially for you aspiring actors out there. Yes, you know who you are. Yes, you do. Today on the big program, I'm going to be covering a lot of things to do with acting, pretty much from zero. So if you've never done it and thought, hey, maybe I'll get into this, this would be a good show to start at. Or if you're in it and, I don't know, are having problems with auditioning, yes, maybe finding the best agent, or how about even ways to bounce back from negative press? And of course, 7 reasons why an actor gets an MFA. Yes, all important things today on Film 101 here. And we're going to be covering exactly those. So, grab a coffee. I've got one. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show tonight. And let's work our, inner thespian. Yes, shall we? Let's get going. Good morning, good evening, whatever it may be to you. Welcome to tonight's Film 101 for HTLA Radio 1 New York. And I am your host, the one, the only, Christopher John Taylor, otherwise known as Crash Jesus around the radio parts here. Yes, that's me, the radio guy. Yes. If you can't do it, teach it. Yes, that's what I always say. Damn it. Anywho, we're glad you could join us tonight on this fine Wednesday, December 17th, 2014, for the Film 101. And welcome and hello to all our new 247 million listeners. Yes, out there on iHeartRadio. Yes, this is one of the latest HTLA products to be picked up by iHeart, and we're glad to be here. So just putting that out there. It's good to be spread out there among even more. Just the joy of giving out spreading the HTLA goodness. It's just awesome. No, none of this bricks and mortar stuff. None of this 25-mile radius radio station stuff. No. We're global, ladies and gentlemen. We are out there, and we're out there for you. And in this particular case, and in this particular show, we're, of course, out there for everyone in production, because Film 101 is production defined. Now, tonight, I thought, through all the shows that we've done at Film 101 here, we haven't really covered acting. No, we've not really covered that at all. So, me being me, thought, geez, all those poor acting students out there, or poor Liam Neeson, he needs my guidance. Yes, he does. Yeah, so I thought I would get into some of that tonight, get into some of the things I spoke about in the segue, and just kind of work towards getting you some better techniques, maybe use some better tools. share with you, of course, my experiences with acting, which have been many, and wow, yeah. So all kinds of good stuff there. So that's what I'm doing tonight. We're gonna go right ahead and get into the acting thing. And how will we do that, you ask? How do we start? Where do we start? Well, I guess we start with me and where I started. I actually took 2 years of acting class, and it wasn't by choice. No, it was not. Well, let's see, what was I doing? Way back in 1995, I was, kind of going job to job. I did I did all kinds of things, really. By the time I was 25, I had a pretty broad experience of work experience in places, obvious choices like restaurants and retail in the early years. And one of the things that was kind of becoming more and more apparent to me with each passing day, although not really consciously, was, what's my purpose? I go to my retail job. I manage this restaurant. I do all these things. So what? What's it all for? And indeed, what will I do at 65, looking back on my long career of hotel and restaurant management, or business consulting, or entrepreneurship? So what? What? What's it all mean? Why am I here? Well, it was just kind of blind fate that my friend Matt just showed up one day and said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow afternoon?" And tomorrow afternoon was a Saturday, and I said, "Hey, nothing. Let's get some." He says, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's get some rum and go down to the beach with the girls." He says, No. He says, "I got actually 2 tickets to a film symposium tomorrow up at UVic." And I said, "Really?" I said, "What's that?" It's a film symposium. What the hell is that? I'd gone to movies before. I knew what movies were. I knew what film was. Hell, I even knew television and what it was. Yes, I did. But what is a symposium? So, what the heck? I took him up, went on this thing, and we got there. And up on the stage was a panel of guests, but the keynote speaker, the main guy behind it all, was this older-looking man who seemed oddly familiar, and I didn't know why. Actually, thinking back on it now, I still don't know why. Anyway, he was giving this long speech, going on about the film and television business and the recent growth and booms in Vancouver, and now is the time to seize the day and all this good stuff. He was none other than Academy Award-nominated director Louis Lawless. And, well, as luck would have it, after the symposium was over, it ended up that Louis and I got to talking. And we spoke quite at length about film and television and production and distribution and the money and the studios and all the good stuff. He even regaled me with tales that I still love today. Every time I talk to him now on the phone, I'm like, "Hey, tell me another A-Team story." Yes, he used to work on that television series, The A-Team, with George Peppard and Dirk Benedict and Dwight Schultz and Mr. T. The A-Team, I love that show. And Riptide and a whole bunch of others. And he had all kinds of stories, because, of course, he worked there for 35 years with Stephen J. Cannell and his own company, LDL Productions, which is still making films today. The long and the short was that he wanted me to come by and tour the film school the following day. Well, I did. And, of course, when I did that, well, lo and behold, what should happen? I suddenly discovered something. I realized that maybe the kind of personality traits I have, maybe the kind of person I am, maybe, just maybe, I should be directing film and television. Maybe that's what I should be doing. And certainly he had done it for eons and had made a decent career at it. He even had a lead role in a B science fiction film called Planet of the Dinosaurs. Yeah. How cool is that? All right, well, maybe to most of you it's not cool. But to me it was cool. So I thought, hey, why not? Yeah, so what's all involved here? What do you need? Well, I need $25,000. Actually, this is what he said.
Can you give me any help for $25,000?
That's what he said right there, just like that.
Can you give me any help for $25,000?
Yes, that is him. There he is, asking for $25,000. And what that was for, of course, was the first year of the 4-year film and television course that was being offered by the school. And I said, okay, so that's going to be $100,000. Damn. So I was kind of like, well, give me your literature and I'll get back to you. But he wouldn't let me do that. No, he stopped me. And he actually stopped me and saved me from myself. Because, of course, what would I have done? I would have taken the literature home, kicked off my shoes, got a shower, and went and grabbed Matt and went to the beach with the babes and the booze. Yeah, because that's just me. But no, he probably saw that in me, and he thought, no, you know what? You're not going to go anywhere. Here's what we're going to do. He says, don't even worry about the $100,000 right now, because he says, you won't need it for another 2 years. To which I said to him, what do you mean? To which he replied, well, before I teach you how to direct film and television, the first thing you have to do is 2 years of acting. and I said, what? 2 years of acting. Yes. And to which I replied, why? I don't want to be an actor. I could care less about actors. I just don't care about that. Why would it? No. And what do I need that for? Well, it's a good thing, of course, that he ultimately convinced me to take 2 years of acting before I actually went into directing film and television, because it's very important. You need to understand those tools of acting. You need to understand the various methods, Stanislavski, Meisner. You need to understand the technical aspects of everything that an actor needs to go through. You need to understand the process by which actors achieve that, quote, moment, end quote. And the only way, of course, really to understand that and best work with that is, of course, to teach you that as well. So, against my better judgment at the time, because really I was thinking in my head, yeah, you're just going to, you already got me on the hook for $100,000 for film school. Now you want me to give you another, $9,000 a year for the first year and $12,000 for the second year of acting? Really? So now you're up to, $120,000 plus. He says, don't worry about it. He says, you'll thank me for it later. And you know what? I did. I absolutely did. So I went through my 2 years of acting, and then I finally got into filmmaking and television production. And, oh, thank God it was finally upon me. And then, because I had done those 6 years of grueling studies, I was blessed to receive an internship from BC Film, to which I actually got to work with Mr. Lawless on his 2008 production, Unrepentant. It's a documentary, and it was pretty involved in a pretty big project, and very glad to be on that one. And yeah, again, film festivals all over the world, awards and accolades and everything else. And then from there, I went on about my daily business. I had my own production company, and we did everything from music videos and cheesy TV commercials all the way up to, B feature films. So that's kind of the backstory there. Now, as it pertains to acting, a lot of you don't want to do film and television production. You're just an actor. That's all you want. You're not greedy. No, you just want acting. So yeah, that's what we'll talk about today. Now, the first thing, actually, I remember my very first day of acting class. I went into the class, and there was about 22 of us all together in the class, 22 students. And Louis was there, and he introduced us to the other 5 or 6 faculty that would be teaching us the craft of acting more directly. And a number of those faces I had recognized from television commercials and appearances on the X-Files and the Outer Limits series that were being shot around Vancouver at the time. And so I thought that was pretty good. So we all sat down and we did a little Q&A back and forth. Everybody got to know everybody, and that was all great. We broke for lunch. And when we came back, we were actually given our first assignment. And our first assignment was nothing that I expected. I didn't think we'd be doing anything like this in acting school. We were all given a piece of paper and a pen. And our teacher, Jimmy, he actually went back up to the front of the class and he says, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is an exercise, he says. It's the very first thing you're going to do, and it's very important, so listen up. He says, that pen and piece of paper I've just given you, he says, the exercise is to create a series of short sentences using the words I am and blank and period. And your task is to write out I am blank, period, and fill both sides of the page. He says you can do rows, columns, write them all, run on, it doesn't matter. Just fill both sides of the page with I am blank, period. Then he says, you fill in the blank. So we began our task, and most of us, actually I would say all of us, we started writing the first 4 or 5 things that came to mind. I am cool, I am awesome, I am Asian, I am whatever. But then what had actually happened when you get around the 6 or 7 or 8 is you actually have to start thinking, what am I? And that really, for an actor, is the ultimate question. You know, it's not which school you went to. It's not, well, did you study under Stanislavski or the Meisner method? What none of that really matters. What matters is can you transcribe, can you take those words on the page and convey them in such a way to be truthful to the story and indeed to tell the story on the screen or on the stage. Well, that first day, I never actually finished that paper, and that was fine. The point of the matter wasn't to actually finish both sides as instructed. It was to get us thinking. And they sent us home that day with, well, to be totally blunt and honest, one hell of a lot of things to think about. I remember 4 or 5 of us, we lived in the same general area from the film school, and we decided, as it was a nice day out, that we would actually just walk home. And so we're walking through the streets, and we're talking, and we're, joking around and laughing and whatnot, and we're still on that topic of I am. And some of them were coming up with, huge words, and I am exorbitant, and laughing. I am graceful. I am ambitious. I am evil. I am heinous. I am vigilant. I am honest. I am right. And really, that exercise is actually still going on with me today. It never ends. And I guess that goes to the whole human growth process. As human beings, from the moment we take our first breath to the time we puff out our last, that entire time in between those 2 brackets, we're supposed to be growing, we're supposed to be learning, we're supposed to be understanding about ourselves and the universe. And that journey, however far you progress on that journey, I believe will ultimately dictate just how good of an actor you can be. Now, getting into things, we talked about a lot of theory, about Stanislavski and Meisner and all those good things, about agents, about representation, about legalities, about movies, about production, about producers, about film studios, about production companies. The list was almost endless. But one of the first things that we actually really had to sit down and master was auditioning. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go for our first commercial break here on HTLA's Film 101. And when we come back, we'll talk just about some good auditioning. And why auditioning is really an art in and of itself. We'll be back in 2, gang.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
So do you guys think being fast is better than being slow?
Yes! It's better to be fast, to not be bitten by a werewolf, and then you'll be turned into one, and you'll have to stay in, and then you'll have to get shaped because you'll be too hot, and then you're like, which means I wish I was back to a human.
What?
It's not complicated. Faster is better. And AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network for your iPhone 5.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Glasses. White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum. 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
I've been eating Egg McMuffins since 1984. But when I saw Taco Bell made a waffle taco, I figured I would get with the times. So I got a haircut and I got some tighter pants. Lost my flip phone, got a smartphone, even took down my Loverboy poster. Now I'm eating waffle tacos and AM Crunch Wraps, and I just made like $700 on Craigslist.
Move on from your old McDonald's breakfast with Taco Bell's exciting new breakfast menu.
You're still listening to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
From all of us at HTLA Radio 1 New York, happy holidays! See, now there's your first acting quiz. Didn't I sound really festive and joyous in that little clip right there? Huh? Yeah. Was I? No. Well, welcome back to HTLA's Film 101, Production Defined. Tonight's episode is Acting 101, where to go from right from the beginning. And before we get into auditioning, I thought I'd kind of break it apart. The differences between professional actors, amateur actors, improvisation, etc., etc. Now, not all people working as actors in film and television or theater are professionally trained. It's not a myth, it is true. Conservatories typically offer 2 to 4 year training in all aspects of acting. Universities will offer 3 to 4 year programs where a student is often able to choose a focus on drama while still learning about other aspects of theater. Now, schools will vary in their approach, but in North America, the most popular method taught derives from the, quote, system of Konstantin Stanislavski, which was developed and popularized in America by Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and others. And I'm proud to say, being in New York, those schools are still going today. The ambiguously themed method acting came about through iterations of Stanislavski's system by Strasberg. Part of this style of training includes actors memorizing lines to be able to work off-book, a term that means being able to work without a script. Other approaches may include a more physical approach, following the teachings of Jerry Grotowski and others. Or may be based on the training developed by other theater practitioners, including Sanford Meisner. Other classes may include mask work, improvisation, and acting for the camera. Regardless of the school's approach, students should expect intensive training in textual interpretation, voice, and movement. Although there are some teachers who will encourage the improvisation as technique in order to free the actor of limitations in rehearsal, Howard Guskin's approach to, or taking it off the page, as he calls it, is steeped in this philosophy. Applications to drama programs in conservatories are through auditions in the United States. Anybody over the age of 18 can usually apply to drama school. Training may also start at a very young age. Acting classes in professional schools targeted at the under-18 crowd are offered in many locations. These classes introduced young actors to different aspects of acting in theater, including scene study. Now, amateur actors, yes, you amateurs. Amateur actors are actors who do not require payment or for performances. Yes, and how many of those have you met? Yeah, none. Although there are some paid professional actors who do amateur work for multiple reasons, some may be for educational purposes or even charity events. Improvisation was created by Viola Spolin. After working with Neva Boyd at a house in Chicago, Hull House in Chicago, she was Boyd's student from 1924 to 27. Improv was created on the realization that adults do not play games. Yes, we do. Who's she kidding? Yeah, Spolin felt playing games were good exercises, actually, and can benefit a future in acting. With improv, people can find true expressive freedom since they don't ever know how the situation is going to turn out. When one continues to operate with an open mind, they will have a real sense of spontaneity rather than pre-planning a response. And this is a big thing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You perform a character of your own making, and with that character and the others working with you, you create a new and spontaneous piece. Improv is also used to cover up if an actor or an actress makes a mistake, i.e. stumble and roll. Keep it going, babies. So what does this all mean? What does this all mean to you? Well, that one line there, having that open mind so that they have a real sense of spontaneity rather than pre-planning a response. Now, within the first week of acting school, you're going to get introduced to a script or sides in one form or another. Probably sides, probably maybe 2 pages, maybe 1, maybe 3. You won't be tasked with doing a huge monologue right off the top, no. But even in the small little back and forth, a tiny intimate scene between just you and one other person can teach you a world just going through that one scene. What I mean by that is when we all sat down with our first sides, I think it was actually on the second day we got to do that. They were just small scenes. They were two-part, that's it, boom, boom. You know, Bob comes in, sits down, lights a cigarette, and talks to Jimmy. And it's just quick little dialogue between Jimmy and Bob, and it ends on page 1. Now, the interesting thing is the way that we all interpret that. Because we're all different and we all have our own perspectives, when we read words off a page, we're interpreting those all slightly a little bit different. The pictures of my mind of Bob coming in and sitting down at his desk and lighting a cigarette and beginning to talk to Jimmy are completely different than the pictures you've just generated by me saying that. So how does that refine into something that's actually usable, something that producers and studios can actually count on when they hire an actor. Well, that has to do with the technique and the tools of acting, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, one of the big things that you have to understand, too, about this is that when you actually perceive something, it's gaining you experience in whatever that something is. So, for example, if I were to say to you that the scene is a busy Manhattan 5-star restaurant kitchen, put this picture in your mind of this beautifully large commercial kitchen with these foreign chefs running around, ordering everyone around in French or Russian or German. And everyone else, all the waiters, the waitresses, the busboys, the dishwasher, the prep cooks, the sous chef, all different nationalities, some Asian, some Mexican, some Italian, some Irish. And it's bustling because it's 8 p.m. and dinner service is on. Everybody has their own jobs to do. And you, as an actor in that scene, have a job to do. Your job may be to get that loaf of bread out of the oven, put it in a basket, wrap it up, and take it out of the scene to serve it. And that's your job in that scene, is to just go, get that loaf of bread, wrap it up in the basket, and take it out off screen to serve it. That's your whole job in that scene. So the cameras are rolling, speed is up, your sound's going, and the director says action. What do you do? What do you do? Well, now you're sitting there asking yourself, well, I'm Irish and I'm probably drunk. Sure, you could use that. Why not? It's not written in the pages, but you don't really have any sense of direction. Oh, wait. Yes, you do. That's the film director. Hey, Mr. So-and-so. I think my character would dance over to the bread oven and pull the bread out and burn himself because he's got a buzz on because he's been drinking his Irish whiskey half the day. And when he goes to wrap the bread and walk out the door off the screen, he bumps into 2 or 3 people and causes a ruckus. And the director says to you, well, that's not what's on the page. What I'd like you to do is simply walk to the oven, get the bread, put it in the basket, wrap it, and take it off camera. And that's what you do. Now, your creative attempt there, your idea that, well, my character is Irish and he's drunk, or he's half drunk. He's not really totally drunk. He's just buzzed because he's buzzed all the time, because he's Irish, because he drinks all the time. And he can drink a 40 and then go to work and still perform his job relatively well, tripping over 3 people and, yeah. Whatever your reasons are for bringing that to the table are irrelevant. That's what you wanted to play. That's what you felt. That's what you perceived you could do in that scene. You have no dialogue. You have no other way with communicating to the other side of that lens, that film stock. You're going to be on it, but are you really expressing yourself? Well, you know what? Acting isn't really so much about expressing yourself, not as much as you'd like to think. In the world of acting for a living, it's about professionalism, doing what you're told, and doing what you do well. And is it a case where it's up to you to break down what your character is going to be doing in a particular given scene? No. Not unless you're an executive producer. If you're Johnny Depp. Yeah. If you're Johnny Depp, certainly you can. Because why? Well, because some of these creative tools you've used in the past in feature after feature after feature, giving a very broad variety and definition to your characters, to the kinds of things that you can play, the kinds of things, I should say, that you can be. Because acting is really about being. Stop and think about it for a second. We all know Bruce Willis. Absolutely. We know Samuel L. Jackson. You betcha. They did the Die Hard thing together. And we've seen Samuel L. Jackson go off and do his Pulp Fiction and a number of other Tarantino films. And, of course, we've seen Bruce Willis do everything from Moonlighting, the TV series, in which he played David Addison, and wasn't really too much like he was in Die Hard. We've seen countless Die Hard movies where he's always the same, just older and more pissed off. But what else have we seen him in? Do they stretch that actor? Do they take Bruce Willis and put him in the Game of Thrones? No. Now, part of those reasons are to do with casting. Part of them are to do with what agent he's with. Part of them are to do with who he's getting exposure to for any given role. But it's also got to do with his range. What he can and can't do. What he can be counted on for when the $500,000 a day is being shot. Well, can we count on Bruce Willis to give us this? Yes, we can. Now, can we count on Bruce Willis to play a believable homosexual drug dealer in this setting? Well, that's a little more of a stretch. Now, to me, I don't know where your mind is going out there, listeners, but my mind is going to someone like Brad Pitt. Because Brad Pitt absolutely can. He's shown us that in the past. His range is very broad. I dare say a lot broader than Bruce Willis. And what about Samuel L. Jackson? If you notice his branding and his marketing and his public image, he's a lot like those guys he plays in the movies, isn't he? Yeah, that pissed-off black man. That's about it. I won't say pissed-off black man drug dealer, because a lot of times he's not a drug dealer, or an arms dealer, or gangland muscle, or a mafia boss. No. Can we put him in something hugely dramatic, some sort of a timepiece? You know? Can we do that? Maybe. But what's the safer bet? Samuel L. Jackson in a period piece. Well, how about Russell Crowe in a period piece? Yeah, that makes more sense. He's done them. That's what he goes to. That's his niche. He's excellent in those. Master and Commander, Gladiator, boom, boom, done. Now, we all don't have the joy and the luxury of achieving that kind of greatness and being known for those certain types of roles in those certain types of films. Maybe we will one day. Who knows? Who's to say? We certainly can't sit here as human beings and expect that within 5 years we're going to be acting across from Mel Gibson or any of the others. No. And let's look at Mel Gibson for a moment. Ignoring all the social and political issues with his career over the last 30 years, let's look at his work. He's played a reverend, a believable one. He's played a lieutenant colonel in Vietnam, a believable one. He's played Martin Riggs on a series of films. Lethal Weapon, very believable as a crazy police officer. Absolutely. And then ultimately what? William Wallace of Scotland. Believable? Absolutely. Now, in any of those performances, was there any minimizing the level of intensity that man put into any of his characters? Was there ever a time when you're watching anything that has been put out by that man where you got pulled out of the moment? Oh, he's not in his... He's looking at the floor. I don't know what the hell he's doing. No. He's always right there in the moment. The actors and actresses in the scenes with him are always right there in the moment. And you, the viewer, are always right there in the moment. And that's not achieved by sheer luck. That's not something the director got on the 57th take. Because they don't really do that anymore. They'll get it in first, maybe second. Yeah, so you got 2 takes to make that particular scene believable. And then, of course, you're shooting all out of sequence. Don't forget that. You know, there's a lot of technical aspects to the job that you're undergoing as a film or television actor or actress that will screw you up. You know, we can all sit down and read a script from front to back and have a really good sense of that story and that character that you're being put up for, that you're going to audition for. You think you've got a pretty good interpretation of that character and his job in the film. Sorry, his or her job in the film. Where the professional side of acting comes in is, do you really understand your job in any particular scene in a film? Because as I said, you won't be shooting from 1 to 13 on day 1. You'll be shooting scene 13, scene 4, scene 28, scene 39B, and scene 44. You need to be able to break down that script and understand what your character's job is in each and every single scene. Each and every single time you converse with another person via that script. Knowing your lines is kind of a side note. Everybody expects that. You need to be prepared. You need to have all of those scenes memorized, out of order. Can you do that now? That's tough. Let me go for a second commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about some ways that you can best audition, because I totally missed it. I kind of got sidetracked in this segment, but 3 reasons that auditioning is an art in and of itself, and hopefully that'll shed some light on the audition process. And then, of course, 6 ways to help you find the best agent for your newfound talent. We'll be back in 2, gang.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Glasses. White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum. 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Yeah.
When you have cable and can't record all your shows, you feel unhappy. When you feel unhappy, you go to Happy Hour. When you go to Happy Hour, you're up for anything. When you're up for anything, you head to a Turkish bathhouse. When you head to a Turkish bathhouse, you meet Charlie Sheen. And when you meet Charlie Sheen, you reenact scenes from Platoon with Charlie Sheen. Don't reenact scenes from Platoon with Charlie Sheen. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
I've been eating Egg McMuffins since 1984. But when I saw Taco Bell made a waffle taco, I figured I would get with the times. So I got a haircut and I got some tighter pants. Lost my flip phone, got a smartphone, even took down my Loverboy poster. Now I'm eating waffle tacos and AM Crunch Wraps, and I just made like $700 on Craigslist.
Move on from your old McDonald breakfast with Taco Bell's exciting new breakfast menu.
I stood outside assessing the situation. I knew it could be rough in there, but how rough, there was no way to know for sure.
Hey, guys.
Daddy, it's pink!
But hey, a new house, it's a blank canvas, and we got a great one, thanks to a really low mortgage rate from Navy Federal Credit Union.
Pink?
So she's a princess. You got a problem with that?
Hoorah! Hoorah!
4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union.
You're still listening to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
From all of us at HTLA Radio 1 New York, happy holidays! Oh, man, is he excited about the holidays? Jeez, welcome back to HTLA's Film 101, our show this evening, Acting 101. 45 degrees Central Park right now, partially cloudy, not too dang bad at all for this Wednesday, December 17th. Gotta say, I'm liking it. I hate winter. I do. Now let's talk about a little bit about auditioning, shall we? Because let's face it, you're not going to get the job acting across from Russell Crowe or Mel Gibson without auditioning, as much as many of you unschooled actors think you will. No, auditioning can be a real bitch. Yes, it can. And take it from yours truly. Yeah, the first couple I had, wow. Essentially, what the audition is, in case you, maybe haven't made the decision to go into acting yet and don't know any better, which is, of course, really who this show is geared to. It's probably one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. Yeah. Basically, what you do is, you go and wait in this big room with a whole bunch of strangers until somebody that you don't know comes and calls you into a room and closes the door, and you're in this room with anywhere from 3 to 10 people, usually, who you don't know from a hole in the ground, and you've only had 10 minutes to go over your lines in this one page that they've handed out, this side, as it's known. And so all of a sudden you're confronted with these people you don't know. You're sitting in a chair, or maybe they ask you to deliver the lines standing. They introduce you to everybody, but of course you forget their names right away, and they tell you that so-and-so is going to be your reading partner today and to just go ahead when you're ready. And of course, the so-and-so with the script, 9 times out of 10, is going to be your script supervisor on the film, who's already been hired. They're going to be working it. So, you're on. Go. Yeah. And you see, I'm not a shy person. I don't shy away from people or the public. I can carry conversations on with strangers and all of the rest of that. I didn't need to go to Toastmasters classes. I didn't have any issues being shy with anybody, anywhere. But let me tell you something. When you've only had a very short period of time with your lines, and you're put on the spot like that in front of all these strangers, and you have to deliver that moment in a way that you have personally interpreted it. Now remember, you don't get the benefit of a director giving you coaching before you go into an audition. You have to take what's on the page, make it your own, go in there and deliver it to them and hope that's what they're looking for. And that is the crapshoot that is auditioning. Now, I can tell you that the first time you go in an audition, you don't even know your own name, really. You are so filled with all different kinds of things going on in your mind at that particular moment. So many, in fact, that most often you'll forget the page you've just read over 20 times in your mind out in the green room trying to prepare for your audition. It can be nervous, nerve-wracking, it can be embarrassing, all kinds of other nasty things. But that is the process, and that's what we have to deal with. Auditioning is often seen as the poor, uncreative cousin to acting. It's a necessary evil in this business, the thing that you have to learn so that you can get the job and really act. The losing attitude is just plain wrong. And I can tell you about the losing attitude. I'm an expert. After those first, probably 10 or 12 auditions that I did, while I was still in acting school, mind you, this wasn't for anything big, and it certainly wasn't for paying gigs. It was just simple auditions for some local independents that weren't paying, maybe would give you lunch if you were lucky, and it was just a fun little thing to do. And what it was to me was an opportunity to really work my groove in auditions, to do as many as I could to get into that groove I needed to be in to have a hope at being 10% or even 5% successful in auditions, which was the realistic number that I've kind of grabbed onto, and, well, 22 years later is pretty much a good number to go by. Auditioning is a dynamic creative process that can shine a light on your soul and test your skills and bravery like few other artistic disciplines can. It is an art form unto itself. It is. Now here's just a few of the many qualities that make it so. Self-knowledge is a cornerstone. And if you are in acting school, you already know this. You know, like I was saying earlier about perspectives, you know, we interpret everything based on our experience, what we know to be true, what has happened to us in the past, how we've lived, where we've lived, what we've eaten, the clothes we've worn. All these kind of factors go into your self-knowledge, and you need to really hold on to that and identify it and understand it and work forward with it when it comes to specifically auditions. A successful film and TV audition answers the question, quote, "Who are you and what do you have to add to the role?" End quote. That sums it up right there. It's not about your acting choices, but what you personally have to add to the role. It requires a way of working that allows you to go deeply into your own personality and explore your internal landscape. What are the most interesting and compelling qualities I have to offer this role? There's a question for you. Which parts of me will bring the words to life in the most unique way, or the most accurate way? What will give the piece the strongest, truest heartbeat? You know, you have to do that kind of forward thinking. Self-exploration is exhilarating and necessary work for any actor. And the basis of art, or of the art of auditioning, I should say, can be achieved by the knowledge gained through these journeys of self-exploration as you continue to patiently and persistently peel back those layers of the onion and discover the intersection of yourself and the words on that page. The art of film and television auditions is discovering how you can act the role, or is not how you can act the role, but who you are in that role. Now, the second one here is it requires its own technique. And yes, it does. The art of performance requires a method that allows you to disappear into a character so that you can then be the character. And by being, I don't mean being William Shakespeare, being Othello, being, no, being William Wallace, because you can't. You're not. You can't be. But your job is to convey to that screen that you are. And it goes all the way to that first exercise in acting school, doesn't it? I am. I am what? I am William Wallace of Scotland. You see that circle there? See that full circle there? The art of audition requires a technique that allows you to create and define that character with unique qualities that are yours and yours alone. That's why Bruce Willis, Die Hard. Mel Gibson, a lot broader. That's somebody that begs more looking, don't you think? It's not the latest teeny bopper that they've thrown into Transformers 29. They're like, oh, okay, well, he's got kind of a memorable face, or she's got a nice bum. What? And then, of course, what? You're inundated with, from all angles with, Megan Fox. Is Megan Fox a good actress? Ooh, there's a question. There's a question. And I'll leave it at that because this isn't an opinion show. No. The audition technique that you use needs to increase your focus and concentration. It needs to assist you in listening and reacting with more energy and spark than you may normally listen in your real life. It needs to make the stillness required in a film and TV audition look natural, even if it's an action scene. Your technique needs to help you safely and specifically target the most compelling qualities that you have to bring to the role. And because you're doing all of this preparation by yourself, your technique has to fulfill the role of a wise, gentle, and persistent director. Finally, it needs to allow you to let all of the work go so that you can be present in that moment, in that room with those 10 people, and not be thinking of a million other things. To indeed stand there with confidence and ease and be the actor they want to work with and have hire. Now, it does demand a special kind of courage. Any art form that asks you to stand up in front of people and express yourself requires courage, in my book. Auditioning, though, tests your courage, not just at the end, but every step of the way. It starts with having the courage to explore your heart and soul and not to stop until you find the truest and rawest parts of yourself to incorporate into the material. It continues in the need for complete, truest trust in yourself and your own instincts, as well as the courage to commit your decisions having no idea how they will be received. Auditioning is the solitary. I'm tired. Auditioning is a solitary art form. Thank you. Now, if you have mastered the art of auditioning, you have instilled the words on the page with your specific life and humanity. You know, now you have to stand in the room and let everybody see your life and humanity with no work or character to hide behind and no other actors to save you. It's just you. And then you have to accept the responses of your audition, too. Oh, yeah. If you're performing as an actor or a singer, you can always assign some of the reaction to your performance to things outside of yourself, like they didn't like the play or it's not their type of music, etc. The usual stuff you hear on, American Idol. But in auditioning, it's once again just you. And if you don't book that job, the no can have a much sharper sting. Yeah. Artists are always exposed to some degree when they share their work, but there seems to be always something in most artistic disciplines, actually, that leave the artist somewhat protected. Partially clothed, maybe a nude scene. No protection there. A true and honest TV film audition, however, demands complete exposure in full frontal emotional nudity. This is not an art form for the weak or timid. It requires all of the fierce and tender bravery of the true artistic warrior. Auditioning, especially for the camera, is the art of personal expression. It's about bringing the words to life by instilling them with the most interesting, resonant parts of yourself, illuminating them with what excites and moves you, and then delivering them with a voice that is unique to you. It is the art of telling the truth naked in extreme close-up. It is. Well, we do have to go for a third and final commercial break on Film 101. And, of course, when we come back, I'm going to give you a couple of little quick tips here to find the best agent. Back in 2, gang.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
When your cable company keeps you on hold, you get angry. When you get angry, you go blow off steam. When you go blow off steam, accidents happen. When accidents happen, you get an eye patch. When you get an eye patch, people think you're tough. When people think you're tough, people want to see how tough. And when people want to see how tough, you wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
So do you guys think being fast is better than being slow?
Yes! It's better to be fast, to not be bitten by a werewolf, and then you'll be turned into one, and you'll have to stay in, and then you'll have to get shaved because you'll be too hot, and then you're like... which means I wish I was back to a human.
What?
It's not complicated. Faster is better. And AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network for your iPhone 5.
I've been eating Egg McMuffins since 1984. But when I saw Taco Bell made a waffle taco, I figured I would get with the times. So I got a haircut and I got some tighter pants. Lost my flip phone, got a smartphone, even took down my Loverboy poster. Now I'm eating waffle tacos and AM Crunch Wraps, and I just made like $700 on Craigslist.
Move on from your old McDonald's breakfast with Taco Bell's exciting new breakfast menu.
Glasses. White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum. 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
You're still listening to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
From all of us at HTLA Radio 1 New York, happy holidays! Damn, I'm so happy there, huh? Welcome back to FiLM101's Acting 101 tonight on HTLA Radio 1 New York. Still 45 in Central Park, still partially cloudy, no snow. I'm a happy boy. There you go. Now, I did actually want to kind of spread this out a little longer. We've only got 90 minutes on the show tonight, and we're in our last little bit here, but You've made the move. You've gone to acting school. Now you're an actor. Now you're going out. You're trying to get audition after audition, doing the same thing as I did. Get as used to auditions as you possibly can. Develop some tools within your own self to actually be able to, well, carry off an audition to at least where you're satisfied. I think that's one of the biggest things that I would offer in any kind of advice to you. As far as acting and auditions go, you know, if you can get to the point where you've done so many auditions and you're happy with what you're delivering in front of those strangers when you leave the building, I think that's the takeaway. That's the thing you got to build on. I did a good job in there. They didn't want me, or I don't know if they want me until they phone back, but I did a good job in there, and be genuinely happy with that and content with that, because the more you can build up that contentment, and I'm not talking about egotistical, oh, they were so lucky to have me. No, I'm talking about just a genuine, healthy, yeah, I did good in there today. I used what I know. I went in there and brought what I thought was what the role needed, and I gave it to them, and I'm out of there. I feel awesome. Let's go get a Starbucks or something. That's the way you want to get, okay? Because like I say, you're going to be lucky that 5% of the auditions you go to, you actually get calls back on. But if you're in that boat and you are happy in your own skin and you are doing auditions regularly and you've got it all pretty well felt out and you're pretty comfortable with it, might be time to start looking for an agent. Yes. Almost every actor who wants to be in commercials wants an agent. Landing legitimate representation for commercials can be easy sometimes, but it can also be challenging, and here's some suggestions that I have for you that might help that process. Number one is do your research. Start by getting a list of franchised agents from SAG-AFTRA, or check out Backstage's online directory online, their directory of agents and managers. There's some agents who are not SAG franchised or affiliated, but that doesn't mean they're not reputable. SAG members are just easier to check out and are accountable to a supervising entity. That's the only plus there. And of course, you can find their list at backstage.com. Number two is buy resources. You know, don't give $2,000 to some flim-flam man that promises you the world. No, do things smart. Have your research done and then buy resources. Buy updated books. The great list of agents and managers. There's actually, Backstage actually has a call sheet, which is a list that actually describes agents and managers in Los Angeles. Those books are sold at Sam French, and in New York, they're sold at Drama Bookshop. Or they can be ordered online. Study how many agents are in the agency, where the agency is located, how long the agency has been in business, etc. Also ask people you know. You know, when I was going to acting school and then film and television and then production, you know, that network is invaluable. And you're not just networking to sell your next greatest indie. You should be always networking for every aspect of your trade. And as far as acting goes, you got to ask people you know. If you know industry professionals, acting classmates, teachers, or relatives who are involved in the business, ask them the following questions about agents. Number one, who would you recommend and who should I avoid? Number two, how would I contact them? And number three, do you know anyone who could refer me? Because make no mistake, in this business, referrals go a hell of a long way. Number four, go online. Visit some websites. Backstage is a good one. That's one I'd recommend. Visit the websites of the agents you're considering and read about the agency, their company history, and the people who work there. Once you've got yourself a short list, check out your choices with the Better Business Bureau. Always a big plus there. And find out if they've had claims filed against them. Number five, decide where you want to submit. The size and status of the office you should realistically approach is determined by where you are in your career. When starting out, you will find that the small and medium-sized offices are often more receptive to meeting new talent. But if you do have an in at a major agency or just want to try to get with one, you could pursue it. If your timing, talent, and type are right, you could get lucky, but don't hold your breath. Number six, make sure you've got your materials together and submit them. Now that you know the reputable agents you want to pursue, submit your headshot, resume, and a cover letter. Don't mail to one at a time and wait for them to reply. Also, don't waste money on mailing to every agent in town. Mail to a select 15 or 20, max. Actors bombard agents with submissions all the time. You might hear from some within a few days or weeks. If you don't get responses, submit your second round of choices. Agents and managers will call you for a meeting if they're interested in what they see in your submission. If you have industry contacts, teachers, or friends who can recommend you to your particular desired agents, ask your contact, if appropriate, if they could advise the agent to expect your submission. If you get minimal or no response at all after the second round of submissions, shoot new photos. Yeah, big mistake. I can't tell you how many actors are out there with headshots from 12 years ago. Yeah, it's an epidemic. So shoot those new photos, redo your resume and cover letter, and then submit again to your first and then second choices. Client rosters often change, making room for an actor who was originally of no interest just a few weeks ago. For more insights and tips about getting the best agent for you from 3 top Los Angeles agents, check out the Master Talent Teacher videos which you can go to www.mastertalentteachers.com. Check them out. There you go. And now, for some of you who are maybe up in the mid-range of your career, where you've been in a number of features, television shows, series appearances, supporting guest roles, that kind of thing. Maybe you've got 12 or 15 different kinds of shampoo commercials you've done and a music video, etc., etc. You're in the entertainment industry. You're probably familiar with the constant wave of negativity, whether it's from botched auditions or being a little short with next month's rent. The daily negativity can be draining. What about when your project gets hit with a negative review? Whether it be an article, blog, vlog, Tumblr post, tweet, etc. It can be devastating to a newbie, especially since each project is being added to your demo reel or IMDb page for future casting director to see. You've worked hard, too hard, to let a bad review affect your career, and in the eyes of a publicist, for example, there's always a way to recover from any negative review. Number one would be to spin it. Depending on the media platform, there's always a way to increase any form of publicity in your favor. There's a negative review about an independent slasher flick you starred in. Entice your audience by asking them about their thoughts. Link the article and get a discussion going. Also express how much fun you had on the project. Did you love the script? Was working with the cast amazing? This kind of allows you to tweak your PR once you've received a consensus on your audience. And another thing that you're doing by doing that on your social media is you're still being authentic. You're saying, yeah, it was a terrible film, whatever. I did my best job at it. We had fun. The cast was great. There was just some other shortcomings, and it happens all the time. But what did you guys think? Did you love the script? That's a great way to enter into conversations and get the conversations going. And maybe, just maybe, some of those conversations could lead to a sequel that's absolutely awesome. It's happened before. So into number 2, I would say embrace it. If the movie was meant to be dramatic but fell a little flat and ended up being comedic, sometimes you just have to accept it. However, you only have to accept it if you want to. If you believe a love story between a human being and a mutant tomato is romantic, then you fight for their love until the very end. From a publicity standpoint, you should be willing to view your project by all perspectives to gain true insight on why it didn't resonate as strongly as you had actually hoped. The third would be contact. I've seen actors who have received negative criticism on their acting, getting edits done, and after reaching out to the reviewer, contact the author of the review and ask them why they were so dissatisfied. Review their review and address certain critiques. Remember that just because someone, it's hard to be positive, isn't it? Just because someone says your project isn't good doesn't mean they're right. And it's important to keep that in mind. The reviewer will also probably be surprised to communicate with one of the stars. Communication makes you a tangible and real person, not just a character they saw in television or a play. Indeed, the story changes when you're toe-to-toe. Number 4, the best advice I can give is to move on. If the negative reviews grow so much that it's easier to cut the cord than to stand up for your project, then it may be time to move on. So you were in a blockbuster dud. There'll be plenty of other roles for you in the future. Jennifer Aniston, for example, was in Leprechaun before becoming a household name. If she can recover from that movie, yeah, you can recover from anything. Not even kidding. No. Well, I've only got one more little tidbit for you today, and that's 7 reasons why an actor gets an MFA. Yeah, Master of Fine Arts. Number 1 is to polish your craft. The major draw to top programs is their selectivity. Most actors are seeking further training along with other like-minded and one hopes equally talented actors. After auditioning in as many as 1,000 different candidates, some programs select as few as 7 or 8 students a year. Others select closer to 20. 2 is to gain credibility. Just getting into a program can create a positive perception in the minds of industry folks such as producers and directors, writers, casting directors, agents, and managers. Not all schools are equally perceived, however. Number 3, to get representation. Most programs culminate in an industry showcase. Often presented in both New York and Los Angeles, the combined attendance in these two cities for a top program can draw close to 5,000 industry people. 4, to be considered seriously for paid acting jobs in the theater, there's no doubt about it. Whether we're talking about Broadway, off-Broadway, or top regional theaters, the graduates of major MFA programs are given high priority by those who cast these productions. Indeed, many actors who audition for MFA programs are doing so after a few years of constantly observing the words MFA from in actors' bios in programs and major productions. And to strengthen their resume with professional credits. A number of top MFA programs are affiliated with major regional theaters. For example, the University of California, San Diego, their MFA program is affiliated with La Jolla Playhouse. Just a few miles down the road is the University of San Diego's MFA program, which is affiliated with the Old Globe. Graduates of these programs and others often come back into the business with credits from important theaters on their resume. I say come back into the business, as going into an MFA program is often perceived as an action that takes an actor out of the business for 3 years. It's not always true, and some programs also offer an equity card upon graduation, and that's something you want. Number 6, to broaden your contacts. Working an A-list regional theater affiliated with an MFA program establishes relationships with directors and writers that can have real effects on the rest of an actor's career. The same goes for working with a faculty of said programs. Let's keep that in mind. And of course, lastly, the financial appeal. A number of top programs are tuition-free or close to it, and some offer a living stipend as well. Many actors in MFA programs are actually spending less money on continued training than their peers who are studying elsewhere. Well, there you have it. But to be clear, MFA programs are a platform, not panacea. And while they offer advantages, they certainly offer no guarantee of any actor's future success. And kind of to that point, I would only add that in life, there is no guarantee of success. Absolutely not. So there you go. Take it or leave it. Take it for what it is. Take it for what you will. That's the Actors 101 Dealio breakdown for you this week. Stay tuned for HTLA coming up at the top of the hour. Kate Taylor's Real Talk is coming up. The film review show. Film and television review show now. And, I think they're doing Game of Thrones tonight. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. And I guess, without much further ado, check out some of our stuff. No, wait. All of our stuff over at HTLAradio1.com. That's radio, the number 1.com. And, we'll see you all here next week on Film 101. Thanks for tuning in. And have a good week, gang.
for the best talk. There's only one. HTLA Radio 1.
From all of us at HTLA Radio 1 New York, happy holidays!